Hello everyone, this is Lisa McClendon, and today we're thinking and talking about numbers in the news, and what you need to know about numbers and checking them. The good rule of thumb about numbers is trust but verify, and that means don't take anybody's word for it. Add it up, check it against the source, check the story against any boxes or charts or graphics. Numbers are facts just like any other fact in a news story, and they need to be checked just like any other fact in a news story. So just because it's digits instead of words, don't ignore it. Here's an example. A story said Wichita's GDP was up 6.3%. The box said it was up 5.9%. What do we do with it? Well, we ask the reporter for the source of both of those numbers, and we do the calculation ourselves. You've already learned how to calculate percents. Calculate this percent. See where that number came from. Maybe somebody just made a math error somewhere along the way. You check it. You figure it out. See which one is right. And also make sure that people used percentages correctly. All right? Here was a sentence from an AP story about wiretaps falling by 14% nationwide, but the number in Kansas remaining relatively steady. However, Kansas had 22 wiretap requests in 2011 as opposed to 25 in 2010. Now, 22 and 25 may be relatively steady if you want to define it that way, but as it turns out, it's a 12% decrease, which is really not too far from the 14% decrease that we saw nationwide. So that sentence is really sort of misleading. It makes it sound like Kansas bucked the nationwide trend, when in fact Kansas was pretty much in line with the nationwide trend. 2 percentage points off, not a ton, but nonetheless a double-digit decrease, which is significant. How do you fix this? To reword the sentence. Just say what happened. Say it fell by 14% nationwide, fell in Kansas by 12%. Just the facts. Let the readers draw their own conclusions from that. Sometimes you just have to think about a number sounds right. You do a little bit of a gut check. We had a story that said the U.S. imported more than 9 million barrels of oil from Canada. Okay, we import oil from Canada, 9 million barrels. Okay, fine. Except later on in the story, it said that Canada was the number one source of oil imports. So we import more oil from Canada than from any other place. Well, all of a sudden, 9 million barrels doesn't really seem like too much for being the number one source. So you check. And if you look at the U.S. Energy Information Administration, which has a great website with tons of data about oil and gas and coal and all kinds of energy and statistics and all kinds of data that you can use, great place to check. They said the total is actually 715 million barrels, not 9 million barrels. Okay, this was wrong. Way off, too. Way off. 9 million to 715. This isn't just a typo. That's like way off. So, trust but verify. Check it out. Check the source. Here's another example of that. When the tornado hit Wichita in the spring of 2012, Spirit Aerosystems, which is a big plane maker in town, took the brunt of the damage. And we had a box with a story that said 10 million square feet of roof had been damaged. Okay, that's a lot, but they build planes. They have big hangars. It's a lot. They were all excited because 5 acres had already been repaired. Okay, well, first off, the trouble here is that we've got square feet for one measurement, and we have acres for another measurement. We don't want to do apple and oranges comparisons because that confuses readers. So what you want to do is you want to do both things in square feet or both things in acres, so it's clear. So when I did the math, I found out that 10 million square feet is 229 acres. Okay, that's a lot of acreage. That's a lot of acreage even for a big place that makes planes with hangars. So, what do we do? Well, you check the source of the numbers. And when I asked the reporter, she said, well, they gave me the wrong information. They gave me this information. And as it turned out, the information she had gotten from Spirit was a little off. So sometimes you just have to take it out of the story until you know for sure and then check it later on. Another example. This was a recent story about the Boy Scouts. And it was a big investigative piece, a long story, way, way down at the bottom of the story. Here's our little boilerplate about the Boy Scouts. Okay? And it said that there were 100 million youth participants and 33 million adult scout leaders. Okay. The U.S. has about 300 million people in it. A third of them are Boy Scouts? Really? Really? Half of them are women. And of the other half, I bet 100 million of them aren't boys. And of all the boys, they aren't all Boy Scouts. As it turns out, this is the total number of people involved in the Boy Scouts over the past 100 years. Okay, the numbers came from the Boy Scouts, but the way they were put into this story was wrong. It was very misleading. It made people think there were way more Boy Scouts right now than there were. Here's a sneaky little one. We had a news item that mentioned the 36 states that do not border Canada. So, being a good editor, you get out your atlas and count. Okay, you count Alaska, Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, Michigan, New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. Okay, whoops, how do we got here? We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, 11 states share a border with Canada, which means that 39 states don't. Well, what about, say, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania? They touch a Great Lake. They don't touch Canada, but they do touch a Great Lake. So does that count? Well, guess what? 34. So where this 36 states number came from is sort of a mystery. It came from a news release from a company. And they said they had locations in the 36 states that do not border Canada. And we're not sure how they're counting, but that count wasn't right. How do you fix that? Well, you can go on to the company's website, see where their locations are, and count the states. That's probably the easiest way to do. Instead of saying the states that don't border Canada, just say they have locations in 36 states. Okay, that might work. You know, you may need to sacrifice a little bit of specificity in order to make sure that you're correct. Here's a sneaky little math item. We had 5 subcommittees branching out, the subcommittees covering student performance, governance, staff, parent community involvement, facilities, resources, and support. That looks like 7. Well, as it turns out, facilities, resources, and support is one committee. But the way this is punctuated, you can't tell that because it just looks like it's a big long list of things. So how do we fix that? Right in here, you put an and that makes it clear. Performance, governance, staff, parent community involvement, and facilities, resources, and support. Then it's clear. All right. That also involves a conversation with the reporter to make sure that you understand and make a change that is correct. You want to fix it the right way. You don't want to fix it and leave it a mistake. So make sure that you ask, look into it, check it out. All right, a couple ways to make stories a little bit more readerly. All right. You don't want to overload a story with numbers. If you have too many numbers in text, people's eyes kind of glaze over. They don't like seeing all those numbers in text. Is there a way to make it clearer in some sort of a chart or a graphic? If you can pull some numbers out of text and put them in a chart or a table or a graphic of some sort, it's easier for people to understand. It's far easier to understand a graphic. You can see a trend, you can see a breakdown. Very easy to read as opposed to slogging through several paragraphs of a bunch of numbers. So help readers out that way. Put it in a graphic if you can. Also, don't clutter it up with extra information, with too much information that you don't need. What's important? Do we need all the numbers that the report had? Do we need all the numbers that the news release had? We probably don't need all the numbers that we've been given. We need to figure out which numbers are important and give those to the readers. Also, explain what a number means. Use specifics. Use an example. If you've got a property tax increase, how much will that go up if you own a $150,000 house? Find the median home price for your area and figure that out. If the median home price is $100,000, give it $100,000. If the median home price is $250,000, give it for $250,000. But tell people what this means to them. It means your taxes will go up $40 a year or something like that. That way they'll understand, is this a lot or is this a little? Because you can throw around a percent for a rate, but it doesn't really hit home until people know exactly how much is going to be on their final tax bill. You know, $40 more, $400 more. Whoa, people are going to pay attention to that one. $40 more, they could probably swing a year, but $400, now you're talking a little bit more serious money for that. So make it relevant, make it understandable for people. And as we talked about with the acres and the square feet, do the math for the reader. Don't make them convert. You can download free converters. You can go to websites online. There are lots and lots of ways you can convert meters to feet, kilometers to miles, kilograms to pounds, Celsius to Fahrenheit, all that kind of stuff. Do that math so your readers don't have to do it.